What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you are new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we are in the new 2021 Honda Passport, courtesy of Apple Honda in York, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So when it comes to the Passport, this was originally produced between 1993 and 2002. Essentially, back then it was a rebadged Isuzu Rodeo, if you guys remember that. Anyways, it has now been brought back from the dead in 2019, slotted now between the CR-V and the Pilot, built in Lincoln, Alabama. And so in this video, I will be going over everything about this one, testing out acceleration, braking, ride quality, steering feel, sound system, exhaust clip, the list goes on. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2021 Passport. First one being the Sport, starting at $32,590, EXL for $36,610, Touring, which actually is the one we have today, starting at $39,480. Lastly, the Elite trim, starting at $43,980. And by the way, all of that pricing was for the front-wheel drive configuration. If you wanted to add all-wheel drive to any of those trims, simply add $2,000 to any of those prices. And so, but then regardless of trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Passport is going to be the same. Powering this beast is going to be a 3.5 liter direct injected V6, putting out 280 horsepower, 6,000 RPM, 262 pound-feet of torque, available at 4,700 RPM. Again, sent to front wheels or all wheels through a 9-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which you guys know we will be testing that out a little bit later in the video here. 0 to 60 time is going to come in at approximately 5.8 seconds. For comparison's sake, if you were comparing this to maybe the Honda Pilot, the Pilot comes in at 6 seconds, so a little bit quicker with the Passport here. MPG numbers come in at 20 in the city, 25 highway for the front-wheel drive, 19 city, 24 on the highway then for the all-wheel drive configuration. But either way, taking regular unleaded fuel, so you do not have to fill this one up with the premium stuff. So that's always good, save you some money there. But before we do that paddle shifter test or any acceleration test in the Passport, did want to mention there are, of course, some drive modes for this one, including normal, snow, mud, and sand, adjusting things like the throttle response, the shift points, and the traction management system as well. And if you were wondering where that drive mode button actually is, because it is not labeled drive mode, by the way, it is simply the button directly behind the drive button. And so essentially looks like a SUV riding over some terrain of some sort. So that is going to be the drive mode button in case you wanted to switch that up. But now, having mentioned all of that, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway, and let's see how quickly the paddle shifters are going to react for us here. All right, we are in first gear. Still in first gear. Cool. Oh, wow. This thing is loud. All right, definitely a delay to the paddle shifters. I'm not going to lie. There was definitely a little delay from when I hit it to when I actually changed gears. And yeah, it's definitely a loud engine when you really wind out the RPMs. But I will say one thing I love about those paddle shifters is if you hit the D button again, it puts you kind of into that manual shift mode. So I had full control over the shifting there, which I absolutely love. But having said that, to take it out of that full manual shift mode, just go ahead and hit the D button again. That's going to give back full control to the Passport. And yet again, let's find a straightaway and let's put this thing to the test with the Passport actually shifting for us. And let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, you guys, I think we found our straightaway here in 3, 2, 1, car behind us. There we go. Wow. That is a good acceleration, quite honestly, for a SUV of this size. That was fun. And so of course I put it in sport driving mode there, just pressed the D button, that put me there, and now I'm gonna take it out of it. But dang, that was a really good acceleration for the Passport, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. And so up front, you will find 12.6-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60 to 0 stopping distance goes, it actually comes in at 130 feet, which quite honestly, it isn't the best. Usually with SUVs, you get 120, sometimes even the 110s are better. But for comparison's sake, actually, since I mentioned it, the Honda Pilot comes in at 119 feet from that 60 to 0 stopping distance. So that is a substantial difference comparing it to the Passport. So I will say that. But having said that, the braking feel itself isn't bad. I mean, it is a little bit softer of a braking feel. I do want to mention that, but all in all, it's really not that bad. So 130 feet is acceptable, but it's not the best. Then touching on suspension and handling, up front, you're going to get a McPherson strut front suspension. In the back, independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. As far as the ride quality goes, that is where the Honda Passport is done perfectly fine. So definitely no issues with soaking up Pennsylvania's road imperfections. It's definitely doing very well there. As far as the steering feel goes, that's once again on point. It's pretty much as I would expect the Honda Passport to be. Not too heavy, not too loose, so very good there as well. As far as cabin noise goes, that is definitely on point, minus when you really hit the gas and then you got some engine noise. But other than that, as far as wind noise coming into the cabin, it is super windy today and there's almost nothing. No wind noise whatsoever coming into the Passport cabin, and I love that, and that's due in part because the EXL trim level and up will give you an acoustic laminated front windshield, and then the Touring and Elite trims are going to give you acoustic laminated front and rear glass as well. So that really makes this one a pretty serene cabin when you put all of that together. Anyways, touching on visibility, because of its shape, I can see perfectly fine out the back, and really one of the better ones in its class when it comes to visibility, again, just because of its shape. So that is definitely on point. Also wanted to mention that with the Elite trim level only, you will get rain sensing windshield wipers as well, assisting with visibility. Essentially what that is whenever the Passport detects any kind of mist or rainfall, it's going to automatically turn on those windshield wipers for you. So essentially it's just one less thing you got to worry about. But that about rounds up the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of this brand new 2021 Honda Passport. All right, and so here she is, you guys, the new 2021 Honda Passport, finished in black. Looks pretty darn good if you ask me. Let's go ahead and start up front on this one. First thing I want to mention, LED headlights do come standard every single trim level across the board, so you gotta love that. They of course do come with the automatic feature, meaning when it starts to get dark out at night, those headlights will turn on automatically for you there. LED daytime running lights, you guys can see those just above the headlights there, also coming standard across the board. LED fog lights, once again, also coming standard across the board. Gotta love that. And I do like the styling. It actually looks almost identical to the Honda Pilot up front. So all in all, definitely a good look to it. Now let's go ahead and make our way to the side on this one. So first thing I want to mention is the roof rails. They will come standard on the Touring and Elite trim levels, and of course that is why we have them today. Rear privacy glass is going to come standard across the board. Black window surrounds coming standard on all trim levels as well. Floating roof line towards the back, you guys can see that. That's going to be finished in black, although you can't really see it, I guess, because we have the black exterior, but otherwise it would be more visible, of course. When it comes to those side mirrors, they are gloss black power adjustable side mirrors for the Sport, heated with integrated turn signals for the EXL trim level and up. They will get the reverse tilt down feature with the EXL trim level and up, along with memory settings actually for those same trims once again. Then looking down, matte black side skirts will come standard across the board. And then taking a look at the wheel setup, 20-inch split 5-spoke gloss black alloys coming with the Sport and EXL, and then they will get a pewter gray finish if you were to go with the Touring trim levels. But that about rounds out the side. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back of this one. And so now taking a look at the back, you guys can see that body colored shark fin antenna up top. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. Just below that, rear window wiper. LED taillights, to continue the theme, do come standard across the board as well. Of course, you got your trim level badging back there just above the all-wheel drive lettering there. You guys can see that. Just below it all, a pretty good exhaust setup as well. A lot of times Honda, including other manufacturers as well, will tuck the exhaust outlets away, but I love that they're exposed on the Passport. And so you do have dual exhaust outlets with chrome tips. And so, as always, you guys, you know what's coming next. Here is that exhaust clip. So now, since we are around back of the Passport, when it comes to opening that rear liftgate, there is a manual liftgate for the Sport, power liftgate for the EXL trim level and up, and then a hands-free power liftgate For the Touring and Elite trim levels, essentially the way that hands-free liftgate works is simply walk up to the back of the liftgate, kick your foot underneath, and that is how the hands-free function is going to work on this one. But there also is a button on the key fob, there is a button on the liftgate itself, and there is actually a button on the driver's side door then as well. So a few different ways to go ahead and open that up. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 41.2 cubic feet, which actually is a decent amount behind a second seat, I will say that. But with the rear seats down, because there is a 60-40 split, that is going to bump that up to 77.7 cubic feet, so that's easy to remember. Anyways, ultimately this is a 2-row SUV, so if you wanted a 3-row SUV, you can't get it in the Passport, but you can get it in the Pilot, so that's going to be a big difference between those two. But cargo lighting is going to come standard on all trim levels, including in-floor storage standard as well, and a decent amount of in-floor storage back there too, so I like that. Grocery bag hooks will come standard back there as well, and overall just a decent amount of space, quite honestly, so I was quite impressed back there. But now let's make our way to the rear legroom. That comes in at 39.6 inches, so that's a decent amount. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is what it looks like me sitting behind my own driving position, so a decent amount of space for me. Rear ventilation is going to come standard on all trim levels. Tri-zone climate control as well, meaning the rear passengers can actually set their own temperatures back in the back, so that's pretty cool. I like that. Rear window sunshades is going to come on the EXL trim level and up, so that's always a plus, especially when you're taking newborns home from the hospital, if you have small kids, to keep the sun out of their eyes. Rear center armrest with cup holders coming standard. White ambient LED lighting on the Touring and Elite trim levels, and my very favorite, heated rear seats coming with the Touring and Elite. So of course we do have them today, so it's always nice spoiling the rear passengers a little bit. But now let's make our way to the front seats. Manually adjustable cloth seating for the Sport, leather seating for the EXL trim level and up. By the way, if you go with that EXL trim level and up, that will add to that 10-way power driver seat with power lumbar, 2 memory settings, 4-way power adjustable passenger seat, and heated front seats as well. Then if you were to jump up to the Elite, that is going to give you a perforated leather seating with ventilated front seats as well. But overall, seats are relatively comfortable. I've had no issues there. The only thing I would say is that being, I guess, a somewhat taller guy, like I said, I'm an even 6 feet tall, I have to move up quite a bit because the steering wheel doesn't quite telescope out as far as I would want it to. So let's make our way to the steering wheel. It is leather wrapped for the EXL trim level and up. It is tilt and telescoping, but it doesn't telescope out as far as other manufacturers out there. So if you're a taller person, you may not be as comfortable as you would perhaps in other manufacturers. For other vehicles, I should say, maybe the Honda Pilot's better, the Honda CR-V is better, but for the Passport, I just would have liked to see the steering wheel come out a little bit further there. But I will say you could also get a heated steering wheel if you go with the Elite trim level then. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. You do have your Honda logo on the one side, and when you flip it over, unlock the button to pop the rear hatch, and the circular button that you hold down, that is going to be your remote start, and that is going to come standard on this one, along with a push button start as well, a bright red push button start located by the driver's right knee. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button there. And so once started up, the bulk of this gauge cluster is going to be a digital setup front and center. You got your engine temp all the way to your left and your fuel information all the way to your right. And so to control what is on the digital portion of the gauges, there are buttons located on the left side of the steering wheel. You could choose to display a digital speedometer. There's your trip A, trip B. There's torque distribution statistics. There's also your Bluetooth information, navigation information, what is playing on the radio right now, or you could just simply leave it blank up there if you wanted to. So overall, pretty much gives you everything you could possibly want within the gauges there. But then taking a look at overall interior quality, you will find a power moonroof if you were to go with the EXL trim level and up. Overhead sunglass holder is going to come standard on every single trim level. Again, tri-zone climate control standard on all trims as well. Homelink controls are going to come with the EXL trim level and up, and that's for up to 3 different garage doors found on the bottom portion of that rear view mirror there. Auto dimming rear view mirror, by the way, comes with the EXL trim level and up. You will get illuminated beverage holders, which I personally think is pretty cool for the Touring and Elite trim levels. You're not really going to be able to see it right now, but you'll be able to see it at night, and I can tell that it's there, but it's not really illuminated since it's daytime. Anyways, I do like the gloss black trim that we have here in the Passport. It's found just kind of underneath the infotainment screen above the passenger side glove box, continues onto the doors as well, but just in front of the shift buttons, you do have some rubberized storage, perhaps to put your cell phone there. There is a 12-volt power outlet, USB charging port up there as well, and just above that, even more storage. Go figure. We'll say a lot of storage in this thing, but just behind that, you have your dual cup holders. Again, they are illuminated since we have one of those trim levels. And just behind that, a massive amount of storage within that little cargo area. There's a 12-volt power outlet as well, auxiliary port actually, and a USB charging port in there too. So really a good bit of storage. And for those of you wondering, where's the center armrest? There's actually individual armrests for both the driver and passenger seats. So that is where you're gonna look for them. But anyways, let's now go ahead and make our way to the tech on this one. And this is where the change came in for the 2021 Honda Passport. So 8-inch color touchscreen display will come standard across the board. And so previously, a 5-inch screen was for the sport trim level. So that's where the difference is going to be. If you go with the sport trim level in 2021, you get a much larger 8-inch screen. So Bluetooth and audio streaming coming standard, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay as well. Factory navigation system coming with the Touring and Elite trim levels. You also can choose to display a pretty cool looking clock up there if you wanted to as well. And you can of course check out your radio information too. And so when it comes to the sound systems, there are 2 of them, depending upon which trim level that you go with. If you were to go with the Sport or EXL, you're gonna get a 7-speaker sound system with 215 watts with a subwoofer still, so that's kind of good. If you were to go with the Touring or Elite, you will get a 10-speaker sound system with 540 watts, again with the subwoofer. So, having said that, we do have that upgraded sound system, so to speak. Let's go ahead and turn to the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. That bass was wonderful. Love the bass. With that 10-speaker sound system that we have today, you could really feel the bass. It felt like it was coming from a couple different directions too, although there's only one subwoofer. That felt good. There was a good bit of bass in that song. But anyways, clarity was acceptable as well, so no issues with the sound system there. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the tech display at least is when you do put the Passport in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board, letting you know who or what is behind you, which is always going to lead us into safety. And so to start, this one is an IIHS top safety pick, which essentially says it all right there. Front side curtain airbags though also coming standard. In the back you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks in the back as well. Tire pressure monitoring system, that's all pretty boring at this point, but also standard for all trim levels, you do get Honda sensing. And so what that includes is a collision mitigation braking system, adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, and automatic high beams as well. That last one is kind of cool. When you have your high beams on at night and there's a car coming in the opposite direction, the vehicle that you're driving is going to automatically dim those high beams, or put it back to low beams, I should say. And then when that vehicle is gone coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically turn back on your high beams. So it's kind of like automatic headlights, but with automatic high beams. It's pretty cool. It's a nice feature and you get used to it really quick. But EXL trim level and up is going to add, in addition to that, a blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert. And so in the end, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the 2021 Passport, very nice SUV. Top safety pick is a big plus. Honda sensing is a huge plus. 0 to 60 in 5.8 is certainly fun, especially in an SUV of this size. Rear window sunshades are also great. Love that. But on the flip side, if I were to give this one some constructive criticism, multicolor ambient lighting would be pretty cool. Although I do like that the cup holders illuminate. That's pretty cool. But still, I want to choose my own color. But anyways, design is kind of let's say outdated at this point, although it is a nice design. I will say that, but I like when manufacturers keep things fresh and constantly recycle everything. But honestly, if I were to choose between the Pilot and the Passport, I'd probably go Pilot, just in my personal opinion, because it's a similar price point, quite honestly. And the Pilot is not only going to give you better braking, but of course more space ultimately as well. And so that is about it for this one though. Let me know what you guys think of the Passport in the comments section below. Feel free to follow me on TikTok at the bottom of the screen there. If you like, be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what we do here on this channel after all. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and I will see you guys all in the next video. stay gold.